that lady talks too much. Oh, this girl, oh please, she's just pretending. I saw her at the club the other day. She is not serious. Oh, she got that role. I'm sure it's because she did something with the boss. Ah, she's so bossy. Who does she think she is? Girl, you're not all that. I think the only reason she's here is because people think she's pretty. You belong. Wherever you decide you belong, you belong. Hi guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here, my name is Rhonda and this is Talks with Rhonda. Welcome to episode 2 of Sunday Rants. In today's episode, I want to talk about imposter syndrome. So according to Google, imposter syndrome is the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. Where should I start? It's basically feeling out of place. It's basically feeling like, you know, you're too small to be in a certain room, or you're taking too much space, or you're drawing too much attention to yourself and you are the odd one out amongst the people in a particular room. When I got my acceptance to Ashesi University, I was thrilled. I felt like, yeah, I deserve this. You know, I worked really hard for my application. I did well in high school. I deserve this. But that first day when I stepped foot on the school ground and I was in front of the main gate, I felt like, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't be here. Maybe, you know, I don't know. I kept thinking, oh, I don't have my student ID yet. They're going to ask for my student ID. And at that time we had COVID. So I was like, oh my God, let me take all my COVID documents to make sure that they know that, you know, I'm safe and all of that. I felt like I had to go the extra mile to prove that I had a place in the school. So I did not really recognize that as imposter syndrome. I saw it more like maybe I'm just anxious. Maybe, you know, I'm coming to a new environment and I don't really know the environment. And so I'm trying to be as prepared as possible. But the truth is, I really felt out of place. This did not last very long. I think that as time went on, I adapted myself to the environment while trying to stay myself as much as I can. But I must tell you, I came into Ashesi very extroverted. I don't know if I should say I am or I was, but I knew myself to be a very extroverted person, a person who really likes people, likes being around people, and would always expect the best from anybody. And Ashesi is a school of people who have or are aiming for a perfect GPA, like a 4.0. Everybody is aiming for academic excellence. Everybody is trying to be excellent. Maybe I'm generalizing a little bit by saying everybody, but you guys know what I mean. So I was like, is this really where I'm supposed to be? I don't know. So this is an example of imposter syndrome. I feel like when we are experiencing imposter syndrome, there are two things that we tend to do. So it's either we decide to fake it till we make it.
What do you do on those days that you don't feel that confident or fearless or powerful like you did out there?
Pretend.
Fake it?
Yeah.
Until we make it?
I mean, why not? It's either that or cry myself to sleep. Who wants to do that?
Or we just retract and keep to ourselves and make ourselves as small as possible so nobody can notice our... Like, we try to make ourselves as small as possible so nobody can notice our imperfections or the ways in which we don't fit with the crowd. For me, it was a bit of both. There were days where I would feel like I have no idea where I'm going. Like, just when you're a freshman in a school, you come to school, sometimes you don't even know where your hall is, like where your classroom that you're supposed to be in is, but you'd be walking around like, yeah, I'm just going to pretend that I know exactly where I'm going so that nobody notices that I'm out of place. Or you're trying to like hide yourself, maybe you're walking a little closer to the walls or something like that. It's a very difficult place to be in, and it's also something else that I'm trying to navigate in my 20s, and it hasn't been easy at all. I think for me, the way I really got over it, especially in relations to Ashesi, was based on one advice that we were given. So when you come to Ashesi, the first thing they do is that you have like an orientation, right, for all freshmen. And one of the things that we see during the orientation is that we should not only get through Ashesi, but we should also let Ashesi get through us. So how I understood that in relations to me not feeling adequate enough to be in that space is that I shouldn't just try and mold myself to fit into that space. I can also mold the space to fit into who I am. So I am somebody who's really into the concept of unity, of Pan-Africanism, of you know, making sure everybody is comfortable. So I tried to put myself in positions and places where I could create that culture or enhance that culture as part of the school. So that's how I started, by being part of the parliament, and then ultimately that resulted in me going for student council vice president, which actually really triggered my imposter syndrome. When I got the opportunity to be student council vice president, I was thrilled, but I was also terrified. So yes, I was terrified because I was like, student council presidents, these are usually people who are quite, very nerdy, very academically driven, or at least that's the stereotype that I had in my head. I don't know, I felt like, do I really fit into that role? Did I have policies and ideas for the student body? Yes, I did. Was I ready to use my voice to make sure students were heard and, listened to, and that students' perspectives were brought to maybe administration and staff? Yes, but something in me felt like, Rhonda, is this really you? As my tenure is coming to an end, I am learning that the position is what you make out of it. Your role depends on who you are and how you reflect into the work you are doing. There's no leadership schema that everybody fits into. I was also very concerned about what people would think of me. Would they think I'm too, I don't know, the French word is coquette. I can't find the word in English, but the best word I can find right now is like too girlish. I've been put in situations where I have felt like people underestimated me because of how feminine I appear. People just assume that maybe I'm not as smart, or maybe I'm just there for the face and that I don't really have opinions to give. And I've seen people be genuinely surprised when I start talking and I talk about how I think about things or what I believe about things, and they're actually shocked. So yeah, those things sometimes maybe doubts whether or not being in certain positions were deserved by me or not. And I have felt out of place times and times and times again, based on really silly things, based on things that have nothing substantial to them. Then there's this idea of thinking you have to fit in a specific box. If people think this is how you're supposed to act, then you are supposed to act like that. We all have an idea of what a secretary is supposed to be like. We all have an idea of what a president is supposed to be like. We all have an idea of what a minister is supposed to be like. We all have an idea of what a teacher is supposed to be like. But because we have these preconceived ideas, already made ideas, it is difficult to let or allow people to put their individual touches and their imprints into whatever it is they're doing. And sometimes that schema is also projected onto ourselves. We also apply that schema to ourselves. It's like, you are in so and so and so position, so you have to act so and so and so. And that is something that I am struggling, guys. I am struggling to break out of. And the more and more I reflect on this and I journal about this, I am realizing that the whole imposter syndrome thing, the whole not feeling like you are where you're supposed to be thing, is almost solely based on the anxiety that comes with focusing on what other people think of you. When you're so concerned with what other people may think, what other people may expect, what other people may want, how other people may react to you, that's when you start feeling inadequate. That's when you start feeling like, maybe I shouldn't be here, maybe I don't deserve to be here. And I feel like this is even more prominent among women, especially women in leadership roles. When you're in a leadership role as a woman and maybe you put a lot of makeup on, or you change your hairstyle every month, you make your points come across very strictly, then you are either seen as inadequate or bossy or, superficial, or as someone who shouldn't be given the same level of respect as your male counterparts. I don't want to get into the whole feminism thing and all of that, but it is a real issue, feminism or not, whether you believe in feminism or not. It is a real thing that affects women more so than it does men, because society in general likes scrutinizing women a lot more than they scrutinize men. And so it makes us hyper aware of things. And then we also have to talk about how it is quite new in our societies, especially like in the African context, for women to be breaking out of gender roles, for women to boldly stepping out and doing things that they want to do, pursuing dreams that they have. So yes, because of all these things, it becomes very, very difficult to see yourself as somebody who is at the right place. Are these people serious? Why are people, why are people doing construction work on a Sunday? Is that a thing? The more I'm growing, the more my frontal lobe is fully developing, the more I'm realizing that I don't have to be what people think I am. I am who I am, and I am who I know I am. It doesn't really make sense, but this is what I'm trying to say. In my mind, I am whoever I say to myself that I am. If people are saying that I am bossy, that I am superficial, that I do not deserve wherever it is that I am, and I take that and say it to myself and I believe it, like I take it as being the truth, then that's who I am. But if people are saying all these things, but in my mind I know that I am a hardworking person, I am kind, but I am not nice.
Please do not be nice. Be kind, because kindness is a measure of our humanity, but do not be nice. Nice means wanting always to be liked, and this is a particular affliction of female socialization.
Basically, whatever narrative you fit to yourself is who you are. And I think in our 20s, this is when we are supposed to learn these things and teach ourselves these things, teach ourselves what our identity actually is, instead of constantly shaming ourselves based on other people's opinions and thoughts on us. I don't think fitting in a box is an issue. I think it keeps things organized. There's nothing wrong with going according to the stereotypes that we have of things. Maybe, oh, I'm a doctor, so I'll wear white coats, which I hear doctors don't even really wear white coats anymore. But anyways, you get my point. It becomes an issue if you let that one white coat define your whole personality inside and outside of your profession. Yes, I am in the student council, but I am also somebody who's passionate about media. I'm also somebody who's passionate about culture. You know, I have a whole holistic personality outside of what I do. And I think that this is a very good point in my life for me to learn these things, so that in the future I don't make my job my whole life, and that I make sure that I am a full person first. And I think another thing that I'm learning, and I want to say in this video to myself but also to everybody watching, is that if you are in a certain position, one way or another, you've deserved to be there. I don't know if it's something you've done, if it's something you've worked for, if it's just your aura, if it's just whatever it is. It could even be spiritual. If you're somewhere, you are supposed to be there. You are there for a reason. You know, it's easy to say now, honestly, it's easy to say now, but like when you're in the moment, it's like, I don't belong here. But you belong. Wherever you decide you belong, you belong. And as women, I don't think we should be so afraid of taking space. Like there's this Chimamanda video, I think I'll add it here, where she was talking about you shouldn't be so concerned with being liked by everybody. It's so restrictive to live a life where you are whoever other people want you to be, instead of just being who you are. Now, if we decide to use the whole Rihanna method and fake it till we make it, and you know, the whole Delulu method and all of that, I think it's a form of manifesting who you actually want to be. But be careful not to be dishonest with yourself. Know who you are, know who you are, know who you are, and align to that. If this is not at all who you are and you're faking it till you make it, girl, I don't think you'll make it. I'm sorry to break it to you, but I don't think you'll make it. Guys, if you're in your 20s now, you grew up in a time where everybody was talking about be yourself. You know, that was everywhere. Like, I remember on Facebook, you couldn't scroll really far without seeing you know, maybe a quote or like something from Pinterest saying be yourself. People had pillows with be yourself on it and all of that. Today, as I'm growing, I feel like I never really understood it. Like, I never really understood what they meant by be yourself. I didn't know who I was for me to be that. I felt like I had to try different things. You know, I had to wear different outfits, be different people before realizing, oh wait, this is who I am. I am neither this or that. I am right here in the middle. This is who I am. And when you get to that realization, it's not like a you've gotten there type of thing. It's a you keep learning. You keep learning. You keep, you know, hey, am I dancing? And I think that the day I will really get to that point where I'm like, oh, I know this is the constant part of my personality, this is the constant part of who I am that will not change, then you can't really feel inadequate anymore, because you don't need people outside of yourself to validate who you are. And I think it also comes with growth as you're growing. The other day, let me tell you, I was in the trotro, and like there were two like, I wouldn't say elderly, but they look like they would be in like their early 50s. The other people in the trotro were also quite young. These two women were just shouting, like they were talking. One of them was on the phone, the other one was laughing and all of that. And I was like the young people in the trotro were acting so proper. Like they weren't talking, they were keeping quiet, they were making sure they were seated, whatever, all of those things. But as you grow old and you learn yourself, you learn who you are and all of that, no matter what environment you're in, you'll be more prone to be yourself because you know who you are and nobody can come and tell you anything. So I feel like that's the reward of having to stress and struggle through all these weird and complex emotions in your 20s. Like once you make it past that point of maturity, then nobody can tell you anything. So yes, guys and girls, everybody in this community, let's make a mutual promise. I will promise this to you, and I want you guys to also promise this to me. I want us to promise to each other that wherever we find ourselves, we will allow ourselves to take space. Whatever way you understand that, whatever way feels more like you, whether it's being quiet while everybody is loud, whether it's being loud while everybody is quiet, whatever it is, allow yourself to take space. Allow yourself to be outside of the box. It's okay not to fit in. In fact, I feel like the people who get opportunities are the people who stand out. Because if you're like everybody else, what will people see in you and be like, this person is good for this role or this particular thing? You're like everybody else. Why you and not others? Take that risk. Go for it. Nobody should come and tell you, oh, who do you think you are? No, take the risk. Go for it. What's the worst that can happen? Somebody will say no. Somebody will say denied. Okay, next time you'll try again. The next time we walk into a space and we have that imposter syndrome, or we have that fear of, oh my God, everybody's going to see that I'm not supposed to be here. Take a deep breath and tell yourself, I know myself. I know who I am. I am a child of God and everything will be all right. That was it for me this week, guys. I don't know how long this video is. I've been talking for about an hour. I don't know how much I'm going to cut from this. That's all I have to say to you guys. This was Sunday Rants. Thank you guys so much for watching this video until the end. As always, keep feeling and flowing, and I'll see you next time on Talks with Rhonda. Bye. Coming for a hug.